So I noticed there was no videos on the Kawasaki Mule Pro MX on installing a winch. They come with the flat plate up in the front, ready to go for winch mounting. I chose to go with the Harbor Freight ZXR 3500. That kit comes with a mounting plate which has holes that line up perfectly with the holes on the Kawasaki Mule MX Pro MX. So you have to use that plate because that has the front tabs to be able to mount the fair lead on there. The only thing is the Harbor Freight winch only comes with 1-inch bolts, and you need 1 1/4-inch bolts. So I went over to Ace Hardware, grabbed 4 of those, the same size, and I was able to get that all bolted up. If you need to see an unboxing video, there's plenty of unboxing videos with all of the things that come. This is still a work in progress, but I wanted to create a video because there's just none out there for this unit, especially with the ZXR Harbor Freight winch. So as you can see, I have my blue and yellow cables, power cables to the winch, and I ran those up here. I still have zip tying to do to clean things up, but I ran them up through the firewall, right in between the electrical harness and it looks like a radiator pipe that goes through. So I ran them through the firewall there, and I will take you inside and see where they pop out. So they pop out right here, and trying to find a place to mount the solenoid. I really did not want to put it in front of the firewall because I don't want water and mud and things getting all over it. So the wires were long enough here that I'm able to mount it inside. Trying to figure out a place to mount it proved difficult. However, I did learn right here, there's 2 10mm bolts. They pretty much just hold that bracket on. I took one off and I went over to back to Ace Hardware, bought a piece of 1/8 inch thick by 1 inch aluminum, I cut it at 5 inches, and I drilled a hole that will mount to that bolt hole with the original bolt, so that all stays the same. And then I drilled 2 holes through and bolted the solenoid to that. So that will basically bolt up there and hang. Could it swivel? Yes. After I get the wires on, what I'm going to do is push it up this direction and zip tie it just to hold it so it doesn't flop back. There's really nothing there for it to get in the way of, but at least it'll be behind the firewall for some protection. So more to come. Okay, so this is part 2. So the solenoid, mounted it to that aluminum bar, which goes to that screw. Got the blue and yellow wire coming from the winch to the solenoid, and then the red and black wires that run. I had put in some 1.5 inch conduit for some other things, rear light, pod lights and things like that. And I didn't want the wires taking a chance of getting them up inside the wrapped around the drive shaft, which is right there. So I got to tuck that red one the rest of the way in, but it goes all the way back and back to the battery. Got those in. So wanted to show you how I did that. And then up here, you'll notice that on these mules, there is, in case you didn't know, there's a little weatherproof connector right here. Inside of there is a positive and negative ignition wires that go off and on with they power up with the ignition. And as you know, if you have a light bar, rear pod lights, anything like that, you need that ignition source to light up your switches. And also it triggers the solenoid to activate, to turn them on. So there's really minimal draw coming out of there. And so because of that, and I have a bunch of switches on mine, I went ahead and put in some bus bars. I put in a red one here to that wire, and then the black one, I have the black bus bar there. They have the covers on them. And because anytime you hook up a switch, you got to send power to it from the ignition so that it'll, if you have lighted switches. So I did that, and so now I'm going to get everything buttoned up. The winch works great. My switches are all lit up. Here, I'll show you that real quick. Got to put the key in the ignition. Now, I don't have the factory switches hooked up yet. Those DIN plugs are still unplugged. But all of my switches that I put in, I have front light bar, I have rear light bar, and I have the horn and the winch in and winch out. So as you can see, they are all working now. And so obviously the horn, and then winch out, winch in, and then I have rear pod lights, and then I have the LED light bar up front. And then once I hook up those 4 DIN plugs, then all of these factory lights will light up too. So they're all blue. Anyways, I hope that that helps you all with the Kawasaki Mule Pro MX and with hooking up a Harbor Freight winch and or anything else. So I will show you the finished thing here in a little bit. Okay, it's all back together. Winch is in, goes in and out like it's supposed to. And I put the plug there for the plug-in remote in case the switch didn't work or if I don't want to be sitting in the vehicle. So you can see it'll plug right in there. I think it's a 5-pin. And I got everything buttoned back up. Dash is all back together. All the lights work. Let's see here. And I even went ahead and installed the floor mats that come in here. You got to drill the floor, but anyways, it is all dialed in. And the only thing I wanted to touch on again was the hot and negative ignition wires. So those are meant to trigger via the switch, the solenoid, to turn on. Everything that pod lights, light bar, everything else, all has main runs back to the battery. So you're not drawing your light power or accessory power via that switch. It's simply an ignition turn on switch. The only thing that consistently draws on that is the lights on the switches, which are LED, they're low voltage. So anyways, hope that this helps somebody. Again, 2025 Kawasaki Mule Pro MX with the Harbor Freight ZXR 3500 winch. All right, have a good one.